Aloha. This video's topic is animal medicine. One of a few of my favorites to work with is animal medicine. It's something I have felt connected to forever. My grandma definitely helped foster even a deeper relationship with animals. And, unintentionally, my mom was very young, and so we were often left to play a lot outside and kind of in the old school way. But I really felt like my connection to the earth and to animals and plants really was um, incredibly in depth because of my situation. And so it allowed me to open up to a greater world and to see things from an energetic principle, to feel things. And no matter what throughout my life, no matter what roads I went down, whether it was self-inflicted harm and sabotage, or just difficult periods, I've always felt that having a connection to plants and animals has carried me through some really difficult times. And so I wanted to share a little bit about my teaching and perspective on animal medicine. First of all, we all have access to this medicine, and animal spirits love to work with people that are in a vibration of appreciation for them and in connection to earth medicine. They won't work with people per se if they don't have that respect. And so it's a symbiotic and mutually respectable, honoring, beauty way relationship. And animal medicine can come in different ways. It can be through dreams. It can be through real person encounters. It can be just showing up unexpectedly. It could be through encountering media or literature. Often when I see repetition and synchronicities, I really pay attention to the message of those animals. And there's beautiful books about animal messages, but it's also really fun to just look at and observe the natural ways of the animal to take in the teaching, whatever that animal is. And so when I go into animal medicine, I think, well, what is the strength of this animal? What are this animal's challenges? I have a little story about one of my totem animals, and the way I see animal medicine is, I believe we all have totem animals, which are lifelong animals that are here to guide us. And I actually have associated my animals to different chakras, which makes sense because it's kind of like a totem. And so along my life way, there's some animals that it's always been very clear that that's an animal that is connected to me in a way. And the first one being dog. And we had a lot of rescue dogs growing up, and they were very much my heart companions. And I really feel in my heart that I am a wolf, a dog, whether I'm in my wild side or my domesticated side, I can play with those attributes. And there's tons of attributes within just that one animal. Hummingbird is another animal that sometimes I feel like it's really clear, and then sometimes I feel like it's shared with me in a way that maybe comes from another intuitive person, or there's just a life flowing of synchronicities where really, like, it's like sometimes the animal comes to you and chooses you and says, hey, I'm your animal, whether it's a totem or a teacher. But and so I feel like hummingbird really came to me in very different ways. And hummingbird I associate with my crown chakra. And then I have a lot of people that have wolf medicine also have raven. They are in the wild, they work together very closely. And so I've noticed that just with people that um, share about that, that they often have those two. And I really associate raven and crow medicine with my third eye. It's really about my mental process, being able to go into different worlds. Ravens are the messengers, and they're very intellect based. They like inquiry and exploration and curiosity, and they're also tricksters and in that sense. So yeah, and so it's fun to really play with that and look at what are my totems. But this is going to what I associate with my root chakra, and that is the rabbit medicine. We had rabbits when I was little, and because of our situation, we were very poor. My mom was really young, trying to make it with 3 kids and not getting a lot of support. And so she also loved rabbits, and we had rabbits. But because of our situation, these rabbits were not tended to in the best way. And I just remember empathizing with the rabbits and sitting in the cage and feeling really strongly that, like, I wish I could take care of them better. But I was a little kid, like probably 5, I didn't really know how. And fast forward later to one of the darkest parts of my healing journey, where I was really sick with Lyme, and started Reiki level 1 school. It was an online school. And right at that time, a baby bunny came into my life. My cousin had bunny show up at her door, and cliche, I ended up getting this bunny on Easter. And anyways, I actually sat with that bunny in my hand and was bringing that bunny into my daily practice. And I was reading a story, a book, a fiction book. It was a historical fiction book. And while I was reading this book, the character was shape-shifting into a hare, a rabbit. And there was a Celtic thread through this story. And I have Celtic ancestors and very connected to the Celtic in my soul, spiritually, and I've seen many lives in that time. And anyways, this book, I was reading this fiction book, and it was like, I was also going through these past life regressions and doing this deep spirit work and doing a lot of shamanic journeying, and the bunny appeared to me in that too. And I had this bunny, and so there was like all these connections, and in the parallels in the book, I just kept getting like goosebumps. And she was going into a past life, which was based on a historical account, and I ended up going to a psychic. And this psychic, at the time, my face was getting paralyzed from the line, and I was just dealing with a lot. And then I was like so desperate, and I went to my friend, beautiful friend, who's a psychic, and she just was like describing this past life of mine. And she was in Wales, and it was she said, I was all these things that actually were in this fiction book, she described, and it was like, it made so much sense on a visceral, clair, sentient way. And so I ended up working really closely with the rabbit, and the rabbit has some pretty powerful layers to it. One, it's about our fears. It's about when we stay in our fear without action, we become paralyzed, and the thing that actually we are afraid of gets magnetized to us. It's which I'm still actually working on some root chakra stuff with prosperity, and the fear of not having enough money is a very real fear of mine, because we grew up with that. It's in my lineages. Done a lot of work around it. I'm really birthing out of that, but it's still present too. So the shadow, I really saw the rabbit medicine as my shadow guide, and I really learned that the rabbit also is a huge totem for doing shamanic work. Rabbits are so long associated with magic, and Hathor's temple in Egypt is one of the few, if not only, temples that has the rabbit etched in the temple. My other goddess that ascended goddess master that I love to work with is Bridget. She's a Celtic goddess. I share her. My birthday is right next to her celebration day, February 2nd. And she also can be associated with a hare, and a lot of Celtic magic was about the Siras being able to shapeshift through the rabbit. And so I use my totems, I use the animal medicine in my imagination space, to shapeshift. And it allows me to go into places and even really have that remote viewing of places I've never been to in this life, but I've been to in others, and really see them and connect with people, even living people in that way. So animal medicine is so powerful. And my beloved rabbit recently died, and we had a ceremony for it, but it was like, it felt like a cycle ending, and by ending, I feel like the parts that I've worked on and healed are very much in my core, and retrieving and excavating the ancestral stories, and excavating all that, so that now, at present time, I can actually confront what I've gotten myself into because of those wounds, because of that unconscious behavior that came out that created my current situation. And so I feel really good about having the courage to confront, my financial situation, be able to move forward, and felt like my rabbit's death was sort of a commemorative of that, even though I don't want him obviously gone. But yeah, and so the day he died, I went out into the world, and I had a bunch of magical things happen. And this guy actually came up to me and did this whole poem about fear. It just like, I didn't ask. He just like came up to me at one of my favorite places, and then and then I told him about my rabbit dying, and I said it was really special that he shared that poem with me. And then he left, and then he actually ran back inside, and he said, "Oh my God, I have to tell you, I was walking, and this hat blew down the sidewalk from this consignment shop and landed right in front of me. And it was like this purple hat. And he's like known as like the adult doctor, spiritual Dr. Seuss. And so he's like, I really had to share with you because of the rabbit, magic hats and rabbits and all that." And so this is just one story example and there's even more that has unfolded with the rabbit, but just like how powerful it is to work with animal medicine, how much rich meaning it can bring into your life. And I think a lot of you are working with animal medicine, and I would love to hear your stories, to share, to share with me and with others in your group cohort, what your experience is with animals has been, and the magic in those. And I really think that my living rabbit and the stories got me through one of the most physically and mentally darkest times in my entire life. And so it's so beautiful to work with animal medicine, and we can invite that in with our intention. We can create a shamanic journey where we go into it's usually best with drumming. You just put drums on in the background, and with any shamanic journey, you always want to imagine an entry point and an exit point. And so for me, a lot of times it changes, but like a tree is a portal. And so I will use my imagination, my magical powers of imagining to take myself through that portal with the intention of finding maybe some animal medicine that wants to work with me for a specific shamanic journey. And then as you go through that, you just ask for that to be revealed, and you go through the layer. Usually when you're finding animal medicine, you want to imagine going through the under earth. It's usually where in the underworld and the under earth is where we can connect with earth medicine, animal medicine, ancestors, where if we go up through the sort of the sky portal or the ether portal, we get into more of the ascended masters or the angels. And so this is a way that you can tap into deeper animal medicine. And so animals can visit us. And so we have our, what I think is our totem animals, which may not be revealed to us all at once. We can try to explore and call those in and do shamanic work around it. And then we also have animals that come in for specific tasks or purposes, and for maybe short periods of time. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 3 years. Hawk for me is one that may or may not be a totem. It's not one that I'm like, okay, that's my totem animal, but it is such a powerful teacher for me. And it's one that I work with to pray and to form this prayer I've had. It's not my prayer, actually. It's the Earth's prayer. It's come through me to create a temple and to create a living temple that's an honor to the divine feminine and to the divine mother energy and to Earth, Mother Earth. When it first came to me, it was like the Church of Mother Earth. You're going to create this, which actually there was one attempted in the exact land that I was living on in the 60s, and there was a book written on it that I ran into, like the odds of that, right? It's the magic. But yeah, and so having access to this medicine, these animal medicine, is such an incredible tool for our empowerment, for our interconnection with the greater world, for having allies during difficult times, or for manifesting and calling into presence the opportunity. I invite you to call in the opportunity to encounter animal medicine more frequently. And one really simple way to do that is to go walk in nature, in a wild, and undomesticated part of nature, and to walk slowly and to sit and to notice. Because when you sit in nature, you're going to start to hear and see animals that you wouldn't see if you were walking, and to walk slowly and quietly, and to really tap into the energy of gratitude and appreciation and honoring of these beautiful teachers that honestly, they have a lot more figured out than us humans on some levels, because they're not, they work in harmony with their systems. They work, it's not to say they don't destroy, but if there's destruction, it's for the greater good of that ecosystem. And we haven't figured that out. We know it. We have people that are brilliant in creative capacity of having the solutions, and we want it, but we haven't quite figured out how to come back and work together in community, and animals do. And so I just want to honor that. I just want to honor the animals and send out a blessing that each and every one of you that encounters this video can build an even stronger relationship, if you don't have it already, and some of you do, I can see it, with the animal kind, and inviting new teachers, old teachers, totem teachers into your life, and to share in our community what those experiences are, because when we share them, we get inspired. Inspired means to be in spirit, and that's why we're here. So this is just a opportunity to share some of my connections with the animal world, and I hope that maybe something sparked for you. Yeah, if you want my interpretations on an animal, I'm so happy to do that. I recently had a ceremony where we encountered bear medicine, and It was so fun. And what we realized was, it was me and my mate, but what we realized was bears are ultimately the psychedelic connoisseurs of the earth world. They go into a dark hole for an entire winter, which means they're tapping into their dream world. They are in the dream world for almost half the year, and they are having probably psychedelic far out experiences. And um, bears are, I don't know, there's just so many um, beautiful messages in bear teachings. Of course, we all know that the mama bear protective nature of the animals, family, and they're playful, and enjoy the leisureliness that nature has to offer, and also know when to rest, know when they follow those cycles, those really deep cycles, which, we're in winter right now. Winter solstice is coming, and we are not meant to be super active. And it's probably why, you start a course during that time, and everyone, including myself, is a little more subtle, and that's okay. We can just honor those cycles. So blessings to you, and thank you for listening to this animal medicine video.